Welcome to a Starter and a Chaser podcast with your hosts, Joe Clarke and Jon Passow.
Welcome to another episode of a Starter and a Chaser podcast. I am Professional Brewer, Jon Passow.
I'm Whiskey Connoisseur, Joe Clarke.
And we have a very special episode for you guys today. Joe, what do we have?
We have the Whiskey Row, 1870, 1897, 1910, 1920.
All from Old Forester. Joe, tell us about Old Forester.
It is owned by Brown-Forman. It was started in 1870 by George Garvin Brown. That's the original batch we have here. He was a pharmaceutical salesman, traveling pharmaceutical salesman. America's first bottle of bourbon. So originally, bottled bourbon, as in a bottle, originally they were sold in little casks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
First, he's the first one to put it into bottles.
Only bourbon continuously sold by the same company during, before, and after Prohibition. They actually got a U.S. government medicinal whiskey permit, one of 6 that were issued in the United States. There's a quote on the back of all these bottles that has been around for 150 years. So when you get your own bottle, you can read that quote there. It's pretty neat.
And that was Mr. Brown's quality statement to his customers, and they've kept it on the label for 150 years. And the neat part about them getting the pharmaceutical license from the U.S. government is he was a pharmaceutical tradesman, a salesman. Yeah. So he saw an opportunity when Prohibition hit, and he took it, and it paid off for him.
Yeah, cough syrup guy.
Sure. And looking into Brown-Forman, actually, turns out they've had a bowling league since
1943.
Yeah, so that's cool. I wonder if they roll on Shabbos.
Right. Yeah. A little drop there from Mr. Lebowski. So the namesake Whiskey Row is not just because these are all in a row here by date. It's actually a historic region of Louisville, Kentucky that has over 100 different producers of whiskey.
And it's where Old Forester started, and they went back and bought the original building and restored it, and now they're back still producing in that original location on Whiskey Row. So we've got them all lined up in front of us in our little handy-dandy sheets telling us which glass is which. So
our Whiskey Row.
Our own mini Whiskey Row here. So Joe's going to go through and smell each one of them and tell the difference between all of them. But first we're going to start off with the 1870. Now the 1870 is titled as the original batch. It's made to replicate George Brown's batching process. So basically he took barrels from 3 different warehouses and then combined them together. It is 90 proof. So Joe, let's take a nose.
Okay. A little bit of a lighter little batch there. Not super dark or anything like that. Coats the glass very nice. Seems to be a pretty heavy drink. The legs start coming about 5 seconds.
An off straw color, I would say.
Yeah. So this was actually one of the first Old Foresters that I have ever had.
Yeah. So you started with the OG.
Just because I was like, oh, that sounds cool, original batch. But this one's very caramely. A little burn on the nose, being at 90 proof. That one's a 90, yeah. So these are actually 90, 100, 93, and 115. We're going in a row by date on these. And sometimes we like to drink them 90, 93, 100, 115.
Yeah, we like to work our way up.
Sure.
Excuse me.
We're going to break that rule a little bit here. So.
Yeah, we're going to do side-by-side timeline-wise.
Get a lot of stone fruits on this.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a little hot on the nose. A little vanilla. I mean, it's pretty typical bourbon notes from the region, you know.
All right.
That's pretty much it for that one, John.
So up next is the 1897 Bottled in Bond. This one is 100 proof, and it's named after the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897. So tell us real quick what bottled and bond means, Joe.
So bottled and bond is basically a controlling of, to bring out a better product. In the time, people were mixing other things into the whiskeys that weren't part of the distillation process,
or
what's supposed to be in there, or even safe that could kill you. So they're always 100 proof. They're always at least 4 years old. They're always produced in a government-controlled warehouse within one distillation season.
Now this one, as our audience can see in the camera here,
A little bit darker, little bit.
Yeah, a little. You're right, a little darker.
No alcohol burn on the nose at all. Now we're going from 90 to 100 proof. That's a good jump. That's a pretty hefty jump, guys. Smells very creamy, buttery. You almost get a little mango on this one.
Oh, it's a little tropical.
A little tropical to it.
Interesting.
No real burn on the nose on this one at all. It's very creamy. It's got that buttery kind of smell to it.
That sounds delicious.
Some cooking spices. Okay.
All right.
Very different product.
Moving
very
on
different.
to our third product now, which is the 1910 Old Fine Whiskey. Now this undergoes a second barreling, so it's twice barreled. The first barreling they do in the charred oak barrels, and the second barreling goes into lightly toasted but heavily charred oak. Now this was done to replicate what happened in 1910, which was a bottling line fire that shut down production. So they had a bunch of this whiskey sitting around. They couldn't do anything. They didn't want it to go bad, so they put it back into barrels. So this is 93 proof and twice barreled. What are you getting? Actually, first color.
This is from the looks of the glasses, John. This looks to be the darkest
wow.
of them all.
That
And
is,
I'm really excited to compare these two, the 1910 and the 1920. Just as a little side note here, guys, is that because these two are like the hot tickets on the shelf right now. A lot of people are just buying these up all over the place. At least around us, they are. And there's always a lot of argument. And it's been a while since I've had 20. I like to sip on 10 a lot, so
we'll see
where it goes. We'll see who wins here. But on the nose.
By the way, the color is a nice copper, deep copper color.
Got some brown notes in there too. This is a really easy sniffer here, and this is at 93 proof, and this is just as easy on the nose as the 1897 as far as the heat goes.
Okay.
Not pulling any spices out of this. Almost get like coffee notes out of this one.
Nice. Like a little bit of a roast.
Yeah, kind of a roasty smell to it, like fresh coffee being brewed, or being ground, I should say, not brewed, but ground up. This is really heavy on the stone fruits. Very, very heavy. Not much hints of caramel or vanilla or your other typical notes there. A lot of barrel to this one. This is going to be a very barrel-forward drink, I believe, by the nose.
It is double-barreled.
It is, so it's very oaky, and you get that familiar toasted barrel kind of sense going on there. So it's going to be on the sweeter side. It's more of a desserty smelling drink.
Okay, we'll see how that translates to the palate.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style. Now this is to replicate what they would have been producing back during Prohibition. It's 115 proof, and that is because that was the typical barrel proof of bourbon at the time. So if you had a medicinal license back then, you can get this product. But no license needed, just need to be 21 and over now. By the way, that original
This is like the proof king on this
still at
row here. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, it's all right. Stepping on my toes here, man. Watch out.
This is surprising how easy this one is. It's kind of funny. The lowest proof one is the hottest on the nose.
Okay.
This one at 115 seems like an easy drinker, really.
Wow.
Very, very creamy. Very creamy.
And the color is
it's
also
definitely lighter than the 1910.
Yeah, lighter than the 1910, but definitely darker than the other ones. You still get some of that copper with a hint of ruby.
Look how thick this one seems. I mean, it's like really heavy coating the glass.
Oh yeah, it is.
The legs do come quick though, but it's a nice oily drink.
I can't wait to try these.
This has got that burnt butter smell to it.
Burnt or browned?
Kind of a little bit of a burned butter smell to it. I'm getting kind of like chocolate chip cookies in the background on this one too.
Really?
Yeah, like fresh baked.
Wow. That
Little honey.
That sounds like a cool drink.
Get a little sensory overload here.
If you have had any of these, be sure to leave a comment in the YouTube comment section below.
Yeah,
and let us know which one is your favorite. If you agree with some of our analyses on the nose, or if you disagree, be sure to hit subscribe. That really helps us out. Like button, thumbs up, etc.
I think we should let these bad boys
Let's breathe.
Breathe them out. So we're letting these kind of open up and breathe a little bit here. And I'm going to say, just going before we hit the tasting on the nose here, these are kind of tying for me, the three, the 97, the 10, and the 20 here, because they all have very unique. This one was a little more
hot, you were saying.
It was pretty hot on the nose. So, and it's crazy because it's interesting how the different proofs, and that one ends up being the 90, the lowest one.
This goes to show you, just because something's high proof doesn't mean it's going to be alcoholic.
Nope, because it doesn't always transfer to your palate.
Well,
so let's start.
Just dive in with the 1870 original batch. Jinx, you owe me a whiskey. Delicious. It's got some heat right. Yeah. Actually, it's got some building heat right up front, but underneath that, caramel.
Yeah, this is a big caramel one here. Yeah, it does caramel very well.
Little chewy oak on the back end. I'm going to go for a second one because we always do two tastes before we really delve in, because the first one just acclimates your palate.
Oh, I remember this being that good.
Butter. Some of that browned butter. Caramel. Little baking spice.
Yeah. This one is heavy on the baking spice for me. For these...
and it really lingers too.
Yeah, the spice heavily lingers. It's not really an alcohol shock, to be honest. I mean, you get a little bit of burn from it, but it's more so the spices are overcoming.
I think you're absolutely right on that. Yeah, it's more of the spice that you're getting the burn from.
Yeah, it's not an alcohol burn. I'm not really feeling any Kentucky hug happening or anything like that. It's a little hotter than some of the 90 proofs I've had, but it's nothing that's off-putting at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
A little stone fruit in there. Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll take a little sip of water in between. Got my Hill Valley Coffee Company mug.
Nice.
Yeah, Christopher Cetis, thanks, or Cetis, or I'm sorry for bastardizing your last name. Thanks for the coffee mug, by the way.
Okay.
This is 1897. Prost.
Cheers.
Baking spice right
Big
up front.
time.
Right up front.
Very creamy feel though.
I wonder if this has got rye, and I wonder if the first one has rye and the second one has rye, or what.
But very creamy feel. Right, the first split second I got there it was like this very like smooth, kind of weighty, and then it almost kind of starts to evaporate, and you get that baking spices. Not a ton of caramel on this one or anything like that.
I'm going to have to go for a second sip here, but as I was listening to you talk, I was experiencing that finish. That finish is really complex and long.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's complex. I'm going to go for a second.
Wow, this is like a very spicy one. I'm starting to get a lot of barrel on the second one here.
Yeah.
The tannins are coming in.
Gets me on the side of the tongue, side of the mouth.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of that rye spice up front.
Very creamy, buttery. Yeah.
Little stone fruit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little hint of that. Okay.
It's a very buttery, spicy one, this one is. This is really good.
So far, winners.
Yeah. Winners. Tie. No. These now, I know just by the nose and past experience, this is where this is really going to get crazy.
All right, well, let's get crazy with the 1910 Old Fine whiskey.
This is like the funky one.
L'chaim.
Now that's a creamy drink. Very desserty.
Milky.
Yeah.
It's milky creamy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really interesting going from these two kind of spice bombs.
Yeah.
I was expecting that on the third.
To be hit
my
again.
palate was like, all right, let's
Here we
do
go.
that. And it was like, oh, what was that?
Totally different.
Yeah. Way different than the other ones. I'm going to go for a second one so I could really get the flavors here. Creamy, caramel.
This is the
caramel.
stone fruit big time on this one.
A little dark fruit, a little fig in there, but definitely like the apricot, plum,
cherry, all that stuff. But
cherry, yeah.
this one has always had this kind of funk to it on the finish. It's a weird funk.
I get that too, and I wonder if
Almost like a mossy kind of funk.
earthy.
Yeah, it's very very earthy.
Yeah,
yes,
earthy.
I always forget that one. I used to use that one a lot. But yes, this is a very earthy tasting,
Absolutely.
mossy, weird finish. Almost like the type of finish I expect to find in some of those Tennessee whiskeys.
Yeah, that have been charcoal filtered.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we get musty with that.
Yeah,
But
that's
this
it.
one,
Yeah.
I don't. Do you feel this one's musty or earthy? I kind of feel like it's earthy more than musty.
It's like a earthy, mildewy kind of weird. It's hard for me to put the word to it. It is earthy, but there's like a funk to it.
And I don't feel like that's off-putting, though. You know, sometimes people,
I think
when
it's
they hear
delicious.
like mildew, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to drink mildew." But it's not what you're kind of thinking as far as that goes.
Sometimes you have weird explanations, like we've heard the explanation "dank, dirty basement."
Wet dog in a phone booth was another one.
So,
and I wonder
it's just trying to figure it out.
Are you getting any of that toasted barrel in this?
A little bit, not as much as I thought I would get being a double barrel.
I agree. I'm getting it a little bit as well. Some of that chewy tannin.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's not overbearing.
I'm getting more of the char than versus the toasted barrel.
And keep in mind that second barrel, while it was lightly toasted, it was heavily charred. So that probably is why we're picking up more of that char than the toast. All right. Another sip.
Charcoaly.
Charcoaly.
That's what I'm looking for. It's got this like feeling on the tongue like charcoal. It really does, man. It's a weird like grainy feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of funky.
Grainy
Yeah.
charcoal.
That's an interesting one. It always is interesting to me, that one. All right.
1920.
King of the Hill unapproved. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Prost. Heat up front, rich caramel, molasses, brown sugar,
Spice.
clove, spice,
This
nutmeg.
is the Spice King here.
Wow. But it doesn't burn like some of the other ones that we were getting that kind of baking spice on the first two.
No.
This is spicy, but not
Oddly smooth
spicy.
for 115
115
proof.
proof. I can not tell that that's that.
Smoother than this one. Isn't that weird how you can have that much more proof? 25 points. That's a lot. Is it 25 points? Yeah, 25 points. Math, you know.
I mean, whoever had their prescription for whiskey back in the 1920s, they were drinking good.
How you feeling, sir? Cough gone? Oh, yeah.
No, it's not gone. I need more. Give me another prescription. What flavors are you really picking up here?
This is extremely peppery, spicy to me.
Black peppercorn.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It is peppery. This has got a lot of pepper kick to it.
Getting a little hug now.
This one, it's starting to hit down my chest. Yeah, this is actually has the Kentucky hug going on. Very vanilla-y on it too. Yeah. I'm kind of getting that like cooking chocolate chip kind of thing going on.
Yeah, you were saying that you were getting that on the smell, so that's translated to the palate for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very interesting. This is a really complex one. as far as complexity goes, this whole whiskey row here, these two here,
1910, 1920,
definitely a lot going on. You can probably pull a lot of different things out of this for both of these bottles for quite a while sipping it. This is incredible. The bottled in bond here, the original batch, they kind of stand alone, John. So being that stands alone, you know, some of these bottles, let's get into the review. I'm really going to analyze this real quick, okay? 1870 is very well balanced on the palate. It is a very good drink. It's got a little kick to it. It's a nice drink. 1897 is 100 proof, bottled in bond. It is definitely the Spice King. Seems like, or not Spice King, but the Rye King. Seems like there's a lot of rye in that one that's coming through on the palate. The 1910 has got that charcoaly mouthfeel, kind of gritty. It's got that funk note to it though, you know, so I'm always trying to figure that out, this earthy funk to it, but it's got a lot of nice, it's very desserty. It's the sweetest one of them all, I think, as far as dessert kind of feel to it or taste. 1920, Prohibition style, 115 proof. It's the Proof King. It is also very spicy. It's got a kind of a chocolate chip cookie taste to it on the mouth and on the nose. This is really tough to pick my favorite out of the whole row.
So you kind of like them all?
I do like them all. I'm partial to 1870. I think it was the most well-balanced one out of them all. It didn't have, it wasn't the most complex. The other 1910, 1920 and stuff definitely had a lot more flavors going on and stuff like that. I just felt what this one does, the 1870, just is very well balanced. It's really good to me. I just really enjoy drinking that one. That's all I can say about it, John. They're all super drinks. You should have all these in your collection because they're all very different. They're very good. It's incredible how different they are from the same distiller. I'm 1870.
You're 1870. Okay. Before I go into my final thoughts, thank you very much for watching. We do have an Instagram account. Starter and a Chaser Podcast is our handle. We have a Patreon account as well. We've got exclusive content on there. If you'd like to help to support us, hit subscribe. You can listen to us on all the podcasting networks. Now, my final thoughts on Whiskey Row from Old Forester. 1870. All around a really nice drink. It's a great sipper, can be great for any occasion where you want whiskey. The 1897, I had a bit of a tough time. I'm not gonna lie to you here. I had a tough time with that one because it is so overarchingly spicy. I mean, it just dominates the palate with spice, and I would have liked a little bit more complexity instead of, I'm not going to say it was one note, but I mean, it does rye and it does spice really hard. And for my palate, I think it was a little too much. It was a little too much for me.
Okay. I can see that.
The 1910 stone fruit was nice, but it also had that earthiness and a little bit of that funk, which I think actually played pretty well together, balanced. So that was nice, and usually I wasn't a fan of that one when I first tried it, but now doing them all side by side, I actually appreciate that one a little bit more. Sure. And finally, 1920, just thick mouthfeel, but also refined. It was just, it had a lot of flavor going on for me, a lot of complexity, but it had that weight that I look for when I want something really well-crafted and unique. So for me, while I enjoyed all of them and they all had unique flavors, the 1920 is my pick. But I would not kick out any of these.
No.
These are all pretty tasty.
Because I drink a lot of the 1910 actually lately, personally. And it's just, I like it right now. Like, putting them all together, I think it's nostalgia for me too on the 1870.
Okay.
So I just really enjoy that one. I keep coming back to it every time I do. I'm just like, I really like it. But yeah, I enjoy that one too.
Well, there you go. This is a Starter and a Chaser podcast special episode of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series from Brown-Forman.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to tune in for our next episode.
See you next time, guys. Thank you for watching. Gals, have a good one.